Every 12 minutes, someone dies of a drug overdose in the United States. To combat this, NOPE Task Force is a nonprofit organization that has created a high-impact multimedia presentation for middle school and high school students and a separate program for parents. The presentation is meant to evoke strong emotions and commands the attention of the students. The NOPE student presentation is 60 minutes in length and most often held in the mornings. The presentation is typically given to an entire class grade or more in an auditorium-type setting, for example, theater, auditorium, cafeteria, or gymnasium. NOPE presentations consist of 4 presenters: moderator, law enforcement representative, and 2 parent speakers. The students begin by viewing a short video that depicts a common overdose occurrence. Following the video, stories of local students are shared to depict the reality of the consequences from substance abuse.
And Colby Crutchfield, 13 years old. Colby had a friend whose father was battling cancer. And during this time, the father had been prescribed all types of prescription drugs to legitimately help him with the pain that cancer can often cause. When the father passed away, somebody neglected to clean up the extra medications that were laying around the house. And Colby and his friend got a hold of some of these pills. They each decided to take some. They thought, well, they were okay for his dad. How bad could they be? These pills were not safe for Colby and his friend. Colby's friend ended up in the hospital for quite some time. The doctors did not think he was going to make it, but he got really lucky and he ended up pulling through. Colby, however, was not so lucky. Colby's father found him dead in his bed from a combination of prescription drugs. You know, prescription drugs, they can be very beneficial for the person they are prescribed for and in the amount they are prescribed for. But when you decide to take too many of your own prescription drugs to get high, or when you decide to share them with your friends and take one another's, it's not only illegal to do that, but they can be very dangerous, very addictive. And as in all of our cases, they can even be deadly.
Secondly, the students hear from a law enforcement official.
We're going to spend some time today talking about this young man, Aaron. Look at Aaron, handsome young man. This picture is when he's 17, full of life, loved music, loved to surf, loved working with his hands, well-liked. You know, Aaron was a champion of the underdog in school. You know, he helped those who were picked on, bullied. He'd be friends to those that were kind of outcasts. Aaron was just a great kid. Had older brothers, sisters. Unfortunately lived with in a single parent family with his mom, but in a nice middle class neighborhood. He had everything going for him. He had life in the palm of his hands. Well, we're going to take you through the story about Aaron and what led to a fateful decision on a February 12th night that changed the Fulbrooks family's lives forever.
Law enforcement shares the 911 call from Aaron's mother, who has just discovered her son hours after an overdose. Along with crime scene photos of Aaron after the paramedics worked on him, a body bag, which was the last thing Aaron's mother hears as the medical examiner zips the bag around her son, and a picture of Aaron's urn, where his family goes to spend time with him. After law enforcement, a professional speaks on the facts about addiction and substance abuse. Many students are unaware of drugs' potency.
When you combine prescription drugs with another prescription, or prescription drugs with alcohol, it's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Each one magnifies the effects of the other. They make each other stronger. So again, although Aaron thought he was only taking 2 pills, it's actually as if he was taking 22 pills, or even more, depending on the potency of the drugs that he was taking.
The moderator explains that in the majority of overdose cases, someone else was either present or knew about the victim's drug abuse. Through a student visual, the moderator displays just how important it is to speak up for your friends if they are using drugs and alcohol.
Every single one of the people on the boards behind me had friends that knew they were using drugs and alcohol. Many of them were with them the night that they died, and nobody did anything. Nobody called 911, nobody told their parents, and in fact, some of them even left them when they knew that something was seriously wrong. So we need you all to be the hero and tell someone if you know of anybody that's using drugs and alcohol.
It is very important that the students are able to see beyond themselves and realize that their substance use affects those they love and those that love them. 2 family members share their personal story of how losing someone to an overdose has deeply affected their life and the lives closest to the victim.
In January 2007, I lost my youngest daughter, Megan, to an accidental drug overdose. She was 22 years old and a recovering heroin addict. You know, I almost didn't get involved in doing these presentations with Nope because talking about that day is like reliving the worst day of my life. But for Megan's death just to be a complete waste of a precious life isn't acceptable.
I will never hear him ask for a hug, and I will never hear him tell me, "I love you, Mom." You might be one person in the world, but you might be the world to one person.
Following virtually every presentation, a number of students seek help, either for themselves or someone they know. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." If you are interested in scheduling a presentation or starting a NOPE chapter in your area, please contact NOPE Task Force at nopetaskforce.org.